All right, class, for today, we're going to be looking at our notes from questions 1 through 10. That's basically what we're going to be looking at. We're starting our unit. We're looking at in geometry, we're going to start looking at symmetry. We have line of symmetry and we have symmetry in order of rotation. So here on our notes, you guys have these notes. You guys can print them out. You guys, I recommend you guys have them printed. If you guys cannot print them at home, come over to our offices. We can always print them for you. So here, what is the line of symmetry? I have two questions here. The first one is, what is the line of symmetry? And then the second question is, what's the order of rotation? Line of symmetry, let me just write this thing down. Line of symmetry. Now, what's a line of symmetry? Is the line oh, this is actually not working fine. So let me just write this. Let me just say it. The line of symmetry is the line that has one side of the figure reflecting on the other side. All right, what do I mean with reflect? You know, imagine how you look in the mirror, right? You reflect on the mirror. Notice how everything flips. So the line of symmetry is the line that reflects one half of the figure onto the other. What do I mean with that? Let's say I had a rectangle. And in my rectangle, I have a line right here in the middle. My line of symmetry, it is going to be reflecting one side onto the other. Okay. Now, let me give you an example of something that is not a line of symmetry. Let's say I have a rectangle, but my line is right here. Notice how one side is smaller than the other. So one side is not reflecting on the other side. So notice how line of symmetry, one side has to reflect, has to be equal to the other. It just has to be flipped, but that's what we call the line of symmetry. Now, the order of rotation, it's imagine I have a figure. How many times, if I flipped it around, if I go around as a circle and I flipped it around as a clock, how many times does the figure happen to look alike? So let's take a look. For example, here number 2. My question here is the dotted line on each shape a line of symmetry? So you see my dotted line, and then I'm asking I'm going to call this the right side. If I was to reflect it, does it give me the left side? Like if it does, if you flip it over, if the right side gives you the left side, then in this case, I will say yes. Yeah, the dotted line is a line of symmetry. Now, if it didn't give me the right side, didn't give me the left side, if I flipped it over, then my answer will be no. Take a look at another example. Question number 3. If I was to flip it over, would I get the same figure? Interesting part is that, let me highlight this in blue. If I was to flip this over, if I was to reflect it, this line, now let me use red, will reflect on red. Interesting part is that the two segments are not the same length. So if I was to reflect it over, I would not get the same figure. Notice how the red line and the blue line are not the same. So then I'm going to say, nope, this is not a line of symmetry. I didn't get the same picture. Notice how one is smaller than the other. Now find the order of rotation. All right, if you were to rotate this, if you were to grab it, and like I said, rotate it around, how many times will you get the same picture? Interesting though, is, let me erase this real quick. If I was to rotate it, I'm going around. I think I rotated 90 degrees here. I get one time. I rotated 90 degrees again, and I get the second time. Keep on rotating, third time, and then 4 times. I happen to get, it says find the order of rotation of each figure. If you were to rotate, like literally flip this over around complete circle, how many times you happen to see the same picture? My answer in this case is 4. I happen to see it 4 times. Let's take a look at question number 5. You can flip it over. Grab the picture. If you want to flip on your screen, flip it over. Like how many times you get the same picture? In this case, my answer will just be 1. Keep in mind that when you finalize the circle, when you complete the circle, basically that's my 1. All right. You guys will be able to play around in your homework. So this is what I mean with find the order of rotation. If you flip it around, how many times do you get the same picture? Now here, stated the figures have a rotational symmetry or linear symmetry. Okay, so rotational symmetry, I have the black image, and I'm asking, in order for me to get the red one, do I have to rotate this or do I have to flip the image? In this case, let me imagine a line right here. I'm thinking of linear symmetry. And I notice that the red one flips on the other one. So matter of fact, if you follow the points, here's the point R, here's the little R with the little apostrophe. I'm gonna call it R prime. If you follow the point S, you guys can see S prime, and then the T, and then the Q. This one, I was able to flip it over. So this one I'm gonna call linear. Let me write this thing down, linear symmetry. Interesting. I'm able to reflect it, so we call this linear symmetry. Now let's take a look at number 7. I'm thinking, the first thing I'm going to imagine is, can I get linear symmetry? So let's see. Let me imagine a line right here in the center. Let me see that, I'm checking. I see here's M, but I see here's M prime. If I was actually getting linear symmetry, M prime should have been somewhere over here, right? Just on the other side of the line, not just somewhere else. So I'm gonna say, nope, this is not linear symmetry. I notice that if I was to rotate it, let's say this is the centered, you can flip your screen if you wish for you to be able to see it. If I rotate this 180 degrees, so if I flip it over, the black one becomes the red one. If I flip the picture or the paper over, like so you guys can flip your screen in order for you guys to see it. This case, we call this rotational. So I'm flipping rotational symmetry. On your homework, I don't want you to get it wrong just because you typed it wrong, right? You understand rotational, but you typed it wrong. Or symmetry, you only type an M when it's actually 2 M's. I don't want to judge, I don't want to get points off just because you typed it wrong. I want to make sure you guys are understanding. So for the homework, I'm going to have these questions as a multiple choice, right? Is it either linear symmetry or rotational symmetry? Make sure you understand what you're doing though. Remember that on the homework, you can do the homework multiple times, right? You don't get the score that you wanted, you can do it again. You know, it shows you when you submit it, which questions you get right and which questions you get wrong. But on your assessments, on your quizzes and tests, you only get one shot. So make sure you understand what you're doing. Now, tessellation, we're going to move into what a tessellation is. What is tessellation? I see the question here. Remember, I'm not going to be able to type this because I'm having problems with how my pen, but a tessellation is an image where a pattern is repeated to complete the whole image, right? It's a repetition of a pattern. So it's an image where a pattern is repeated to complete the entire image. Okay, what do I mean with that? Let's take a look at question number 9. Is each shape an example of tessellation? I'm going to highlight. Let me go with my pen here. I see that I have a star with a little parallelogram here at the side, and I see the image, right? Different colors, but I see the image over and over and over, right? You guys see the image repeated over and over and over. So is this shape an example of tessellation? Yes, it is. You guys can see the image. Now, question number 10. Let me highlight. I'm gonna circle it, but you guys can see it looks like an arrow. In this case, a red arrow. But if you look around, I see a yellow arrow, I see a blue arrow, I see the same image over and over and over. It is okay to rotate it. It is okay to flip it. It doesn't have to be looking at the same direction always. Notice how it is flipping over and over, and I see that is the same image, the same arrow all the way around. So then I'm gonna say yes. This is an example of a tessellation. This should help you for your first homework. Remember, if you guys need any help, let me know. Send me an email and I can always help you guys out.